get up in the morning and he's going to brush his teeth and he's going to get back to work. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's going to hold a news conference at Trump Tower. And I'm not emotional for him. I mean, I'm just thinking back. I'm thinking about what's going on and looking at it through my own personal lens. And that's just it. This has become personal for each and every one of us as we see what's happening, the weaponization of government, somebody who maybe you voted for or you did not vote for. But I don't think that we can look at what has been going on and think to ourselves that this trial, so-called, was really objective, or that it was really about somebody who committed a felony business crime, a white-collar crime in New York City that really had no victim. I think we have to be smart about it. I just wanted to begin with that because I think it's important to put it in perspective and ask yourself, would your vote have been changed? Would your vote, if you, knew everything that you know now about, what Stormy Daniels claims or Michael, would it have changed your vote? Because those people were in play, right? We knew about the Access Hollywood. See, I don't think it would have changed anything at all. But I think that we have to look at what is happening and just go back to the Clinton era and what Clinton was accused of. And we also have to look at the media and think about how the media treated a college intern back in the day during the Clinton era, how they reported on it and sort of victim blamed, right? The bimbo factor, right? Bimbo eruptions. I cringed when I covered that back in the day. I thought it was inappropriate that they even released her name, Monica Lewinsky, that they even said her name. It wasn't about her. It was about a college-age intern. And certainly any CEO of a company would have resigned. And in the private world, in the private sector, that intern's name never would have been named. So just put all of this into perspective. And I want you to think about it in a different light. This is about power. This is about the United States of America, our Constitution, our laws as we know them, the norms as we know them. And this is a new chapter, and it's a new day. So I hope that Trump is right in his statement. As he said yesterday, the only verdict, the only vote that matters is the one that comes down when you vote November the 5th. As far as DA Alvin Bragg speaking out yesterday saying, I did my job, I think that Doug Burgum's statement was appropriate yesterday because he said, no, you did your job, Alvin Bragg, for Joe Biden. That's who you were speaking to. You, as a Democrat, made a promise, and you took down a political opponent. We'll get to all of the different audio today, certainly. As far as what happens next, and we'll bring in my friend Christine Flowers shortly because she is, yes, an attorney, immigration attorney, longtime Philadelphian. But as far as the Trump attorneys, they vow to appeal the verdict as soon as possible. Yes, they will file many motions within the next week or two. They promised that. And they cannot, by the way, make their file officially their appeals until after the sentencing on July 11th. That's when I believe the appeal comes according to state law. It's in a state court. And so technically, under New York state law, the CNN banners and MSNBC that say convicted felon, technically Trump is not a convicted felon until he is sentenced July 11th, technically. So that I'm just giving you what the law says since we are talking about the law. I wanted to give you that. 855-839-1210. We'll have Christine Flowers momentarily. But the final thing I want to say is, yes, we will, of course, carry when Trump speaks from Trump Towers this morning, and we'll get his full take as he is planning that big news conference at Trump Tower, 11 o'clock this morning, so in less than an hour. Christine Flowers, bring you in. You were somebody back in 2009. You defended me, and I've never really talked about it, but just want to say thank you for what I went through. You had my back, and I've never forgotten it. But your reaction, Christine, to the fast-moving developments last night and into this morning?
Good morning, my darling. First of all, no one needs to defend you. You are just a stellar human being by every metric, and it's amazing. Every time I'm on, I love it because the reactions that I get are, Dawn is just an incredible human being. As recently as last night, a text exchange between myself and a former federal prosecutor who is a huge fan of yours. I get on here in the mornings when I talk to you, and I'm like joking and laughing, and hey, I'm very sad. As I said on Facebook this morning, I said my anger, my white-hot anger that I felt yesterday has coagulated into an incredible weight of sadness against the people who are either justifying what happened yesterday or are celebrating it. And I see what happened yesterday as an assault not on Donald Trump, not on a specific individual, although obviously he's the one who's going to bear the brunt of the repercussions. I see it as an attack on our legal system. And I know people have been poo-pooing that and saying, no, the system worked. Look at a jury of 12 men and women had their say, and this is exactly the full flower of what our legal system is supposed to promise. I've had lawyers coming back at me on social media saying this over and over again, and I premise this by saying I'm an immigration lawyer. I'm not a litigator. I'm not a prosecutor. I'm not a defense attorney. But I went to law school, and we were all trained in the same basic groundings, and we all had con law, constitutional law, and we all had civil procedure and criminal procedure, and every single one of those attorneys who is saying that this is a legitimate resolution and that we should be celebrating the process here are missing the point, which is that it's not about the jury. It's not about the jury's verdict. It's about the fact that this prosecution was brought in the first place. This is prosecutorial abuse. This is malfeasance of the highest order. And I almost choked when I saw Alvin Bragg talking about how the one voice that matters is the voice of the jury, and they spoke. No, it's not. It's the voice of the people, Dawn, and that's what Doug Burnham was absolutely right. The voice of the people will be heard in November, and whether it's to reelect Joe Biden because those people have no concern for the rule of law in our country, or that Donald Trump will be elected, or that someone else will be elected. That's what matters, because this was a Stalinistic show trial. And again, I'm an immigration lawyer, but I think that also gives me some insight into what happens in banana republics where I have clients. In fact, I have a client coming next week who has a hearing. He was jailed for 2 years on trumped-up charges, no basis in the evidence. He was in jail for 2 years, Dawn. This man was separated from his family. He was only able to be released when someone paid someone to pay off a judge to have him released. And as soon as he was released, he escaped that country and came to the United States. And I cannot help but recognize the parallels here.
Yeah, it's so true. I don't know if you heard Marco Rubio or if Anthony Dorenzo, our executive producer, has that audio of Marco Rubio speaking out and talking about, for example, what happened with Cuba. But it did make me think of you immediately. And you think of all of these different individuals coming to this country, and does this resonate? Because nobody really thought this would happen in America.
Yeah, that's such a great point. I was saying to someone, I said, how do I look my clients in the face, my asylum clients in the face, and say, you've picked the right country for refuge. You have come to the country that protects your civil and human rights, when they are looking at the man who was at the highest levels of authority in this country, and he himself is now subject to a malfeasant prosecution. I cannot tell you, it's not hyperbole, Dawn. It's not exaggeration to say that what I felt yesterday when I heard count after count after count after count saying guilty, I felt such nausea in the pit of my stomach. And then, to see the people on television gleefully, trying to hide it, but gleefully using the phrase convicted felon, convicted felon. You're absolutely right, Don. He's not, I would argue he's not a convicted felon until all of his appeals have been adjudicated, exhausted. Because, in immigration law, a conviction is not final until your last appeal has been denied or rejected. So, I mean, to me, this was an opportunity now for the media, obviously, to come out and sort of gleefully gloat over the fact that they can now put the label convicted felon on Donald Trump. I think, and this is going to backfire. And it doesn't make me happy to say that people are going to be voting for Donald Trump as a spite vote. But last night I said I was on the fence. I was not a committed Trump vote. I was troubled. There was a strong possibility that I was going to sit out the presidential election and vote down ticket.
Really?
Absolutely. I had serious qualms. I have no qualms any longer, Dawn. I am voting for Donald Trump, and I'm voting for Donald Trump because I am voting against the people who support a system that convicted him on trumped-up, excuse the pun, charges, a prosecution that never should have been initiated in the first place. And so, and I'm Legion. I didn't intend this, but for some reason, my tweet went viral last night, and I have 1,000 new X followers, all saying the same. I mean, this was not my intention. In fact, I'm not exactly happy about it because I've got a lot of people that I would not normally have following me, but they're all out there, and I think they feel the same thing. They feel that this is just such an assault on the average American. And, I will tell you, I think that May 30th is going to go down with the same gravity as January 6th. And I think it's a legitimate coda to January 6th, because if people on the left felt that January 6th was a perversion of the process, just sort of flip it and look at people on the right seeing what happened in a court of law, a very slow-moving January 6th. That's what May 30th was. January 6th was a very regrettable riot that was not planned, although people will say that it was. It was much more of, I think, a spontaneous moment, whereas this prosecution of Donald Trump has been going on, the trial's been going on for almost 2 months, and the lead up to the trial has been going on for well over a year. So, I mean, this was an orchestrated event, and I have no words for it beyond the fact that they've opened a Pandora's box, and they truly will rue the day that they went forward with this prosecution.
Well, let's hear, Anthony has the audio of Marco Rubio speaking out as someone of, Cuban-American heritage and speaking specifically to this issue.
Great.
They just elected Donald Trump president, so politically I think it's good. I think, unfortunately, they've made a travesty, a mockery of our criminal justice system. I think all over the world right now they're watching news reports and they're saying, what America's turned into us, meaning these third world countries, these dictatorships, these crazy places. I mean, I don't know what I can add to what people have already seen. You literally have a judge that supported Joe Biden in 2020. He supported him. His daughter makes money off political campaigns on the far left. A jury pulled from one of the most liberal counties in America. A prosecutor that basically ran on the promise that I'm going to get Trump. I don't know what I'm going to get him on yet, but I'm going to get him on something. Charges that basically turned a misdemeanor into a felony by tying it. We don't know yet why because they introduced a new crime in the jury instructions saying, well, and by the way, in addition to the federal election interference, which he was never charged with, you can also tie it as a felony. You can also turn it into a felony by tying it to some tax law in New York, something that they never mentioned throughout the entire trial. I mean, the list goes on and on and on.
So you get the gist of it. I mean, your reaction because you represent people who are obviously taking a legal pathway. I wonder, even for many of the people who have come here, they crossed the border technically illegally and then filed for asylum. I wonder even what they think about all of this if they've come from one of these oppressive, nations. They're coming from China, right? From Asian countries. They're coming from, they're coming from, places like Russia sneaking in, from South American countries. So what do you think?
Absolutely, Dawn. I was listening to. I love Marco Rubio. I've always loved Marco Rubio, and part of the thing I think that animates him and that makes him such a unique character in the political landscape is that his family lived through the Castro regime. I have friends who have family who are still in Cuba, and we can, say, well, it's not what it used to be because Fidel is dead, and it's not as totalitarian. It is still as totalitarian. People can go there on their little tours, and Americans can go there on their little culture tours. I have friends who've gone to Cuba and enjoyed their mojitos in Havana, and isn't this lovely and isn't this quaint? And they don't see the underbelly of the political prisoners who are in the jails. There are a lot of Cubans who are still trying to come to the United States. I have several Cuban clients. I see people who come here to the United States, and when we say they come here illegally, I always take issue with those who came here from despotic countries who are filing for asylum, people who come from Cuba, people who come from, right now, Nicaragua has returned to the state that it was in the 1980s with the Contras. And, we've got Daniel Ortega is back in power, and he's throwing Catholic cardinals and bishops in jail and deporting them. There are totalitarian states around the world, in Central America, in the Middle East, and people are coming to the United States the only way they can, which is in some ways crossing the border illegally because they have no option. And imagine looking at the government that you have fled to and saying, what did they just do? They just convicted their ex-president of some kind of clerical errors, and those are felonies. And not to be pandering, not to be looking down on them. I don't think most of them are sophisticated enough to understand the abusive process that just went down with Donald Trump, but they are seeing an ex-president in a courtroom being convicted 34 times of what are essentially clerical errors, okay? I think that they're going to have some question as to whether or not they fled to the right country. I myself am having a really hard time today. I'm surrounded, as I'm talking to you, by files of people that I have to work on for their immigration hearings, and I'm praying that Joe Biden is not reelected, because he and his crew and his cronies have done such irreparable damage to not just our legal system, but our standing in the world. Piers Morgan tweeted out last night something which I found really, really compelling. Piers is a British national who lived in the United States for many years, now lives in Great Britain, and he's a keen observer of the United States. And he said that this was a debacle, a catastrophe, that the rest of the world is looking at us and saying, what did we do? And I really think his opinion is very accurate. There may be some around the world who are thrilled with what's happening, people who are already inclined to hate the United States.
Yes.
But I think we're a laughing stock today.
Well, and I also wonder if this puts President Biden in a strange position, because there's another historic trial that starts on Monday, and that's technically it's local, right? In Delaware, Hunter Biden goes on. This is a federal, not a state court, but in this one, Hunter Biden is facing these gun charges, while allegedly, according to his book and so on, he was an addict, a crack addict, and so the question is, does this put Democrats or even President Biden in a strange spot, as there are different individuals who are not Biden. We haven't heard reaction from President Biden or his camp, I don't believe, as far as gloating over what happened yesterday. But I will say, does it not put them in a strange position if his own son becomes a convicted felon in these cases and could face up to, not that I don't want him to go to prison over it. I'm not like that, but 25 years in a federal prison is what he's facing if convicted and sentenced for that.
Yeah, and it is interesting. Obviously, the federal system is very different from the state system. The federal system is less vulnerable to public opinion. I think it's a little bit more immune and separated from the vicissitudes of current affairs. I do think, obviously, there's going to be a huge focus on what happens to Hunter. He's in a friendly jurisdiction, though. I mean, the Biden's own Delaware. There are two names in Delaware, Biden and DuPont. That's about it. And so I'm not sure exactly. I don't know. Is it a jury trial that he has, or is it's a bench trial with just a judge making the decision?
No, it's a jury.
It's a jury.
It'll be
okay.
They're going to pick the jury starting on Monday. The whole thing starts. Yeah.
So, that will be interesting. I think there's more of an opportunity for a conviction if there is a jury. I think that there's an opportunity for a conviction simply based on the facts are there. He owned a gun. He violated any number of federal laws. The issue is going to be, they're going to say, well, he's the president's son. He's not an ex-president, and they're completely different types of cases. They are, but the principle is the same. Do we have a two-tiered system of justice where those who are favored are going to get special treatment, or is the law applied fairly across the board? And if it is to be applied fairly across the board, I would hope that Hunter Biden is convicted and that he is sentenced to a significant term behind bars. But that's not going to happen, Dawn.
Right.
They're not going to sentence. They may convict, but they're not going to sentence Joe Biden's son to any prison time. He knows this. We know that. So, I think there's a two-tiered system of justice.
Well, Christine Flowers, my friend, thank you so much. You and I both, I don't know if it's horrible allergies, that's what my doctor said, or what's going around, pertussis, whooping cough. I'm hearing somebody on the YouTube chat said, do they both have COVID? With our voices and our coughs. So
I was sick last weekend over Memorial Day weekend. I was in bedridden. Now I'm fine.
No.
It's just the allergies. It's just like, but whatever. We're alive. We're vertical. We will fight and breathe to fight another day.
Yes, Mama. Well, thank you, Christine Flowers. You're the best. Until next time, my friend.
I love you, sweetheart. Take care.
Love you
Bye-bye.
back. Yeah, and your comments, 855-839-1210. Yeah, forgive my voice. It's really, my doctor says it's allergies, and they're trying. I've never had allergies. I don't know if you're going through this, but apparently it's one of the worst allergy seasons we've seen. I think maybe I'm allergic to injustice. Just kidding. 855-839-1210, the number to call. So I'd love to hear your take, your feedback. If you just want to vent, give me a call, 855-839-1210. We'll take a quick break. Yes, we do have Guy Shiraki around the corner. We do have former President Donald J. Trump speaking out. He's scheduled to hold this news conference, Trump Tower, so we'll hear from him as well, and much more. Stay right there.
Talk Radio 1210, WPHT. It's the Saturday Night Free-for-All. Starting at 7 p.m., Talk Radio 1210 WPHT is live and local with Michael Pelka from 7 to 10 p.m.
Just look what they're doing to Robert Kennedy. They got his family to go against him in Philadelphia. And I have to say this, that family looks like there's a whole lot of problems there. I know they're trying to play off on the Camelot magic of JFK.
It's definitely been bred out of the family. The magic, I think, is gone, but that's just me.
The Saturday Night Free-for-All. Listen this weekend. Talk Radio 1210 WPHT and on the free Odyssey app.
Hey, it's Greg with Kale & Company. This NBA playoffs week, FanDuel, in partnership with Valley Forge Casino, is giving all customers 2 chances to bring home a big win with a no-sweat same-game parlay every weekend of the playoffs. All you have to do is place a same-game parlay on any playoff matchup, and you'll get bonus bets back if you don't win. You can bet on everything from rebounds to assists to three-pointers to the method of the first basket, number of dunks, any player to score 10 points or more, any player to score 15 points or more, or any player to score 25 points and more. All you have to do is go to FanDuel.com/Greg, FanDuel.com/Greg, and shoot your shot on America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel Sportsbook, the official partner of 1210 WPHT. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. 21 and over, present in PA. Minimum 3-leg parlay required. Refund issued as a non-withdrawable bonus bets which expire 7 days after receipt. Max refund $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Have you been thinking about doing a Roth conversion, but the upfront taxes are holding you back? Welcome to Rothright. We can show you how to significantly reduce taxes on a conversion, potentially saving hundreds of thousands, even millions in taxes over your lifetime. A Roth conversion will give you tax-free income, eliminate required minimum distributions, and leave a tax-free estate to your heirs. Sign up for a free educational seminar now. Call 855-415-ROTH. That's 855-415-ROTH. Rothright is not a financial advisory firm. Consult with a tax professional before making any financial decisions.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Why are you paying for an AC system that's struggling to keep you cool? If you hear something funny, smell something burny, your AC is frozen or leaking water, or even feel warm air coming from your AC, it's time to call CNC. CNC Heating and Air Conditioning, your local Lennox dealers, can make it a no-sweat summer for your entire household with one phone call. 0% financing options available. Don't wait until it's too late. Visit cc-hvac.com to request your estimate today.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. I've told you over the years about Dr. Bentz and all the infrastructure he has there, but one thing that he does that you don't see in too many dental offices, with Dr. Bentz, my dentist, whether it's a routine visit or a comprehensive, multifaceted process, he and his team sit down with you, they create a clear plan, explain it step by step. You will see the Bentz difference with that. Contact BentzDentalGroup.com or call 610-272-6949.
Hey, this is Ray Didinger. I had the opportunity to open the new Joe Conklin show. It was sensational. It includes all the impressions, Iverson, Merrill, and Mike Barkley. He brought in this whole musical component with a full orchestra. It's really good. His daughter Casey's part of it. His brother's part of it. They can rock it, boy. So you got all the music, plus you got all the comedy. It's a great night.
That's Joe Conklin and the City Rhythm Orchestra at Wildwood Catholic High School on June 29th and the Ocean City Music Pier on July 13th. For tickets, go to joeconklin.com. JoeConklin.com!
Have you questioned your doctor about symptoms like low energy, digestive issues, brain fog, joint pain, just not feeling right, just something is off, and you're only left settling for unanswered questions, or worse, being told it's just because you're getting older? You don't have to settle for unanswered questions any longer. With Younger Me MD's exclusive VIP membership program, aging doesn't have to make you feel older. Their proven 3-step process and functional medicine approach helps you discover the underlying causes of your issues. As a member, you get access to high-level personalized treatment plans, as well as discounts on treatments and supplements. If you're ready to live the life you deserve, it's time to learn about Younger Me MD's VIP membership program. Call 445-266-4024. 445-266-4024. That's 445-266-4024. 4024 and schedule your consultation with Younger Me, MD.
Contact Tax Relief Helpers for details and restrictions.
Attention, anyone that owes money to the IRS. The IRS has restarted aggressive enforcement actions against taxpayers who owe back taxes that were temporarily suspended for COVID. If you owe $10,000 or more, you must hear this because now is the time to clear your IRS tax debt. A special toll-free number has been established so you can stop penalty fees, avoid liens, levies, or other hostile measures by the IRS. Call Tax Relief Helpers right now at 800-721-4643. Tax Relief Helpers will provide you the maximum protection afforded by law.
I got behind on my taxes and owed $48,000. I didn't know what to do. I called and they got my bill lowered to just $3,500.
I owed $87,000 in taxes, and it was scary. I got the amount I owed down to just $3,500. I saved $83,500.
If you owe money to the IRS, don't wait another day. Call 800-721-4643 right now before the IRS enforces liens, levies, or other aggressive measures. The call and consult are absolutely free. Call now. Call 800-721-4643. 800-721-4643. 800-721-4643.
I have diabetes. I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I have asthma. I'm at risk too.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Fargo, the new virtual assistant from Wells Fargo, makes banking faster and easier. Like this.
Fargo, what's my checking account routing number?
And this.
Fargo, turn off my debit card.
And this.
Fargo, what did I spend on groceries last month?
And that's just the beginning. Do you Fargo? You can in the Wells Fargo mobile app. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/getfargo.
Terms and conditions apply. Your mobile carrier's availability and message and data rates may apply. Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.
For more than 50 years, Delaware Valley homeowners have called Oliver for their heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical needs. Leaky faucet, clogged drain, Oliver's expert plumbers can handle that. No power, outdated electrical panel, Oliver's licensed electricians can help. No AC, Oliver has same-day service, flexible financing, and the industry's best warranties. For fast service you can trust, call Oliver today or visit online at oliverheatcool.com.
Have you been thinking about doing a Roth conversion, but the upfront taxes are holding you back? Welcome to Rothright. We can show you how to significantly reduce taxes on a conversion, potentially saving hundreds of thousands, even millions in taxes over your lifetime. A Roth conversion will give you tax-free income, eliminate required minimum distributions, and leave a tax-free estate to your heirs. Sign up for a free educational seminar now. Call 855-415-ROTH. That's 855-415-ROTH. Rothright is not a financial advisory firm. Consult with a tax professional before making any financial decisions.
Did you know you can stream Fox News Radio on the free Odyssey app? Just download the free Odyssey app and search for Fox News Radio to hear the voices you trust. Brian Kilmeade.
Why are we so scared of Iran thinking that we're at war with them?
Guy Benson.
Get the bleep out of here. It's disgusting.
Jimmy Fallon.
Then this administration rolled into town with a checkbook.
Are all on the free Odyssey app. From the news and talk to keep you informed and up to date during election season. Listen to Fox News Radio on the free Odyssey app. That's AUDACY.
Hey, Percy, we know your favorite station is Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Remember to take us anywhere with the free Odyssey app.
It's a disgrace. This was a rigged trial by a conflicted judge who was corrupt. It's a rigged trial, a disgrace. They wouldn't give us a venue change. We were at 5% or 6% in this district, in this area. This was a rigged, disgraceful trial. The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people. And they know what happened here, and everybody knows what happened here. You have a Soros-backed DA And the whole thing, we didn't do a thing wrong. I'm a very innocent man.
I am an innocent man. I think there's a song with that title, no? And we loved our friend Linda Kearns, who had a great perspective. If you're feeling frustrated this morning, you think, well, what can I do? We're just talking about this and venting about it. ProtectTheVote.com. And we thank our great local attorney, Linda Kearns, who's talking about what you can do. ProtectTheVote.com. Go and sign up because you are needed as a volunteer across the region just to ensure that we have the poll watchers, we have the volunteers, we have all the army, if you will, the army who is pro-election, pro-transparent and truthful and right elections, lawful elections. That's what we want. And so ProtectTheVote.com. Go ahead, sign up. We all need to sign up and do our part to ensure that the election is fair and true and transparent, and that's what we can do. And I love that she called in because I think it's important to take action in a positive way, and I think that helps. You know, a lot of people psychologically are hurt over what has been happening, obviously. And if you want to vent, 855-839-1210 is the number to call. So we think about the appeals process that will be underway, and first, before the appeals, we will see many court motions. You know, there's this old saying of going through the motions. So, yes, Trump's defense team will go through the motions. I don't know that their motions will really get anywhere in the chambers of one judge, Juan Merchan, who I think has shown his hand as a Democrat, as a partisan Democrat operative, who is somebody who, well, let's just say this. His rulings have been called unusual. His maneuvers have been called irregular, and they will all be examined and will be under the microscope. And remember, we still have calls to take what he has done, you know, that he is inspected by the Inspector General at the state level in New York, but as well by others who will take him to task. And so we do have a process. We have to go through all of that. Okay. By the way, the Trump team, you know, literally broke the internet as far as the main site that is a fundraising site for Republicans and conservatives, shut down the site. And reportedly, after this verdict, which happened after the 4 o'clock hour yesterday, after the verdict came down and all the coverage, fundraising exceeded $34 million. That's what we're being told. So I do wonder, as the Democrats look at what's happening and they think, uh-oh, we have awakened the sleeping giant, the sleeping monster, the sleeping tiger, whatever you want to call it, will they then slow this down? And then what does it look like if we think about the Hunter Biden trial at the federal level, which Biden could actually pardon his own son if that came down before Biden is voted out of office, and I think he will be. But I also wonder, as far as Tulsi Gabbard, now you know I've talked about my faves for the Veep stakes, as it's being called. And last night on the networks, it really did look, and I'll go to a little bit of audio, and you're going to hear from Tulsi Gabbard. We have that queued up. And so think about this. If Trump is watching last night, or the Trump team, and that was an open audition, an on-air audition, especially on Fox, but on many of the different, more conservative networks and others, who did you like the best? And did anybody change your mind? So Doug Burgum was right there speaking out. Remember that Doug Burgum, a billionaire, offers something different too. He's allowed to be an independent voice. I have no doubt he'll be in the Trump cabinet moving forward. And I think that even during the debates, the presidential debates, I felt like Burgum, when he talked about energy and business, I thought he was fantastic. I loved how he was really quick last night, even when Alvin Bragg spoke out and said, I did my job, and Burgum, just off the cuff said, yeah, you did your job. You were speaking to your boss, Biden. You did a job for the Democrats and for Biden. That's who you were serving. I thought that was pretty quick. We played Marco Rubio earlier. I think he did a great job speaking out. But did you see her speaking out? I know she's a Democrat who has said that the Democrat Party left her. She says she's now somebody who supports Trump, has spoken out for him in the past, spoke out for him eloquently. I want you to listen to Tulsi Gabbard if you did not hear her or see her last night. What I loved about her statement was that she spoke in a way that was eloquent, graceful, but hopeful. And that's not easy to do on a night like last night, because we heard a lot of anger. We heard a lot of knee-jerk reactions. But she moved it forward, if you will, as far as talking about being hopeful. So listen in, and I want to hear your reaction.
To destroy our country, to destroy our democracy, to undermine the rule of law. And my hope is that the people who are watching this, the American people who are watching this, are understanding that this is a very serious wake-up call, that the consequences of this extend far beyond this case, this verdict, even Donald Trump. President Biden is guilty of turning our country into a banana republic. What does that mean for you and me and every American? That means we have to now think twice before challenging or opposing or criticizing the political party that's in power without being concerned about how they may now use the levers of the Department of Justice and law enforcement to then come after us. That's the serious issue that's at stake here. And the only way that we save our democracy and reverse the damage that's already been done is when every single one of us as Americans, Democrats, Republicans, independents, libertarians, we take it upon ourselves to choose freedom, to save our country, save our democracy, and punish President Biden and his administration, those who are abusing their power on November 5th, and vote for Donald Trump.
So there's Tulsi Gabbard. I thought, wow, isn't that powerful? And even the New York Times writing about her, Tulsi Gabbard said she'd be honored to be Trump's running mate. Former Hawaii Congresswoman who became estranged from the Democratic Party has drawn intrigue from Donald J. Trump, but is considered a long shot. It's one of the headlines from the New York Times. Are they worried about her? I think she's an important voice. Maybe you, and I was curious, and that's why I brought her up, because I was curious what Sean Farish thought about her. Because I know that, you're a conservative, you're a Republican, and you think, oh, gosh, I'm not quite comfortable. She was not so long ago a Democrat, and she's kind of, I don't like her views on the Second Amendment, or, maybe I don't like her views on pro-life and abortion. But she is a powerful voice if you think about, will she bring that small, tiny margin of voters who like her message, who trust her as somebody who was a Democrat yesterday, or not really, but figuratively, and somebody who's a more independent voice? 855-839-1210. We have so much developing. I know Guy Shiraki is going to be in the house, by the way, so joining us live, local, in person. We have DJ T 14 minutes away. We'll carry Trump live so that you can hear what Trump has to say the next morning. He got right back to work. He's on the campaign trail, working for you, America. Will Trump be able to make America great again? 855-839-1210. Be right back.
Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Kale and Company, weekday mornings 6 till 10.
John, good morning. What movie did we just play for you, sir?
Rocky III, The Eye of the Tiger.
By the way, John, what's your favorite Rocky movie of all time? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
Rocky V with Tommy Gunn.
That might be one of the worst films of all time.
I thought my controversial take was Rocky 4.
First Rocky.
It's
was
not.
Right. Dawn, you're in the majority, I think. I think most people do believe the first is the best.
Yeah, I'm with you, Nick. It goes in descending order. Is that correct? 4, 3, 2, 1? Yeah.
Pretty close to that, yeah.
Start your day with Kale and Company, weekday mornings 6 till 10 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT and the free Odyssey app.
Eric was way behind on his taxes.
I owed a lot of money to the IRS, almost $15,000. I tried to make payments.
The IRS wasn't satisfied with Eric's efforts, so they came after him full force.
They're coming to put a lien and a hold on all my income, my home, my car. I was just overwhelmed at what to do.
Then Eric called Optima Tax Relief.
When Optima Tax got involved, the calls would stop, the threats would stop. It was easy like 1, 2, 3.
Optima Tax Relief is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and their team of expert tax professionals took care of Eric's problem.
I owe $15,000, and now my debt is clean. I don't owe anything.
Take Eric's advice.
If you have a tax problem, you need to call Optima Tax now.
Call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. The NBA playoffs. FanDuel, in partnership with Valley Forge Casino, is giving all customers 2 chances to bring home a big win with a no-sweat same-game parlay every weekend of the playoffs. Now, you just place the same-game parlay. That means you bet on a variety of things together. On any playoff matchup, you get bonus bets back if you don't win. Bet on everything: rebounds, assists, three-pointers, and more. All you have to do is visit FanDuel.com/Dom. FanDuel.com/DOM. Shoot your shot on America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel Sportsbook is the official partner of 1210 WPHT. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. You have to be 21 plus, present in Pennsylvania. Minimum 3-leg parlay required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expires 7 days after receipt. Max refund $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hey, it's Rich Zioli. I am a dad, as you know, 3 amazing kids. And as a dad, I can tell you what Dad wants this Father's Day. He doesn't want a tie. We don't want sweaters. We don't want golf shirts. We want steaks, baby. That's what our dads want. That's what I want. Steaks from Omaha Steaks. A world-class dad deserves a world-class steak. And this Father's Day, the experts at omahasteaks.com have made it so easy for you. omahasteaks.com. Use my name, Zioli, at checkout for an additional discount when you shop gourmet gift packages for Father's Day. With Omaha Steaks, the possibilities are endless. I'm talking about endless flavor, endless variety, endless value. Truly the best of the best. Better than any of those low-energy steaks you can get in the grocery store. Use my name, Zioli, for exclusive savings at checkout. So go to omahasteaks.com, put in my name, Zioli, Z-E-O-L-I, because if there's one thing Omaha Steaks knows, it's that dads want steak. Take it from this dad, omahasteaks.com, promo code Zioli.
Cancer, a scary word, but not so scary if you have the right team. Hi, this is John DeMasi, host of Health Watch, Sundays at 8 and again at 4 here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. And that team is Dr. Molly Fantasia and the medical staff at Innovative Medical Associates. Yes, cancer is a scary word and a difficult condition if you've been diagnosed. Over the years, the staff at Innovative Medical Associates has helped hundreds of patients with their unique medical hydration protocols. Cancer support is a large part of the practice at Innovative Medical Associates.
We believe in medical hydration. We've improved it so much that we are able to help people across the board with challenges before they become chronic.
Talk about improving your quality of life. Most likely, that'll happen when you visit Innovative Medical Associates. Check them out on the web at innovativemedicalassociates.com or call 856-489-0505 to schedule your initial complimentary consultation.
As veterans, we're no strangers to helping others.
It's what we were taught, trained, and told to do.
It could be for anything. Helping a friend move.
Listening to a fellow veteran for hours, at any hour of the day.
Or just simply making time for people. A neighbor, a loved one, or even a stranger.
We're often the first to help others. There's no question about it.
But we do have one question for the veterans listening.
When was the last time you reached out for help?
Perhaps it's time to do for yourself what you would do for others.
If you or someone you know needs resources, whether it's for stress, finances, employment, or mental health, don't wait. Reach out.
Find more information at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
Dom Giordano, weekdays noon till 3. Talk Radio 1210. WPHT.
Breaking news right now with Senator Joe Manchin announcing within the past less than 20 minutes ago, I believe, saying that he's registering as an independent. And my commitment to do everything I can to bring our country together has led me to register as an independent with no party affiliation. And so this will obviously, the speculation is going to go crazy. Will he, make a run for Senate? Will he make a run for governor? What is Joe Manchin up to? So we have to watch this very carefully, but actually made the announcement at 10:20 this morning as he put that out there and everybody's going crazy. Let's get reaction to that as far as Senator Joe Manchin making this announcement today. He's registering as an independent, no party affiliation. Guy Shiraki, good morning. Let's get your reaction.
Good morning, Dawn. Look, I think it says more about the Democratic Party than Joe Manchin.
Mm-hmm.
If Joe Manchin, who is barely a moderate, if Joe Manchin no longer feels home in the Democratic Party, that speaks volumes about where the Democratic Party is. We should remember that this is someone who didn't really fight against many of the Fauci mandates or dictates, voted for all of the trillions of dollars in spending, voted for the so-called Inflation Reduction Act, which is hampering energy and helped actually cause inflation. Those are not my words. That's the Wall Street Journal. But if Joe Manchin says these guys are a little too crazy and a little too extreme for me, it's an enormous statement, and I think a wake-up call to a lot of voters who may see themselves as moderate or independent. When Joe Manchin says the Democratic Party is a bridge too far, maybe some suburban voters ought to think about that and consider who they're voting for this fall.
And does it speak, because he's a big union guy, does it speak to union members as well? I mean, the union vote, I think, is in play. We saw the union vote go toward Trump, then last time around went to Biden and was splintered depending on where you are in the country. But do you see the union vote impacted by this, and especially with somebody like Joe Manchin, pro-union guy, saying, nope, I'm separating myself from, I'm decoupling, as they say nowadays, divorcing myself from the Dems?
That's a great point, and I think for a senator who represents Virginia, and for those of us in Pennsylvania, we should recognize it and realize that our neighbors in Pennsylvania out in Greater Pittsburgh, that Greater Pittsburgh, suburban Pittsburgh, rural Pittsburgh looks a lot more like West Virginia than it does Chester County. Joe Manchin is speaking for them, because when I first got involved, when Joe Biden was the junior senator from Delaware, the Democratic Party talked about fighting for the working man, the factory worker, people who got their hands dirty every day. Today's Democratic Party despises people who get their hands dirty every day. They don't want people working in factories. They don't want them producing energy. They don't want them mining for coal. They don't want them exploring for natural gas. And I think he is a senator who's saying, these are my neighbors. These are my colleagues. These are people I see at church, at the YMCA. These are people I see socially. And my party no longer not only doesn't want to fight for them, but has disdain for them. So I think he is fighting for blue-collar workers, for laborers, for Teamsters, for people who go out and actually build and make things. The Democratic Party is not only not their home, they don't like them anymore, and they need a voice. And I think that voice is in the Republican Party. And I think that Joe Manchin stepping away from the Democratic Party shows that he believes they no longer speak for those people either.
So we want to stay on time because Trump, he's generally on time. He's supposed to speak out right at 11 o'clock. So I hope you can stay tight. We'll get your reaction after he speaks. Guy Shiraki here locally. And then as well, thinking about the fundraising, we had 34 guilty on 34 counts and fundraising and raising 34 million, 34 point something and counting. But it was basically the fundraising after that verdict came down was about $1 million per count that was raised, and that shut down the site before they got it back up again. I know it continues this morning as well. So you're going to hear from Donald J. Trump speaking live, and we will carry that, of course. Get your reaction, get that of Guy Shiraki. Quick break. This is the Dawn Show. Thank you. I appreciate you this Friday joining me here. We'll be right back with Trump.
Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Hey, it's Nick. Join me for WPHT's Veteran Spotlight, a program where we shine a spotlight on one outstanding local veteran in partnership with the Travis Manion Foundation, celebrating their remarkable commitment to community service and their exceptional service in the military. On Wednesday morning, June 5th, we honor Dale Wetherell, United States Marine Corps veteran, for his service and his exemplary contribution to the veteran community. Presented by Window Nation. For all of your window and door needs, visit windownation.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-688-6641. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call
800-688-6641. That's 800-688-6641.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Ad paid for by AG Marketing Group. Attention timeshare owners. If you need to get rid of your timeshare for any reason, please listen to the following message. Getting out of a timeshare commitment is not easy, and it takes time. But we specialize in helping consumers legally get rid of their expensive timeshares forever. Can't get the vacation dates that work for you? Maybe you felt taken advantage of or forced into the timeshare? Maybe you just can't continue to shoulder those monthly payments any longer. If you need to eliminate your timeshare commitment, then you need to take down this number, 800-866-7061. We will safely and legally get rid of your timeshare payments forever, all with a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Don't continue to let your timeshare be a financial burden to you and your loved ones. Call us now at 800-866-7061. The call is free, the consultation is free. Call 800-866-7061. That's 800-866-7061. Again, 800-866-7061.
Hello, Saver. Whether you're saving for that trip to the tropics or saving for an emergency, now is the time to take advantage of Wells Fargo's savings options. Wells Fargo offers savings accounts that can help you save towards your goals. So, what are you saving for? Visit a Wells Fargo branch or wellsfargo.com/save to open a savings account today.
Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.
Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3, Philadelphia. Always live on the free Odyssey app. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Live and local from Philadelphia. The Dawn Stensland Show on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
It's the dawn of a new day as Donald J. Trump is seconds away from taking the podium and addressing the nation following the jury's verdict. So we will go to that ASAP when he begins to speak. I will say the Fed's other headlines, the Fed's preferred inflation measure rising 2% in April, 0.2% in April. That was as expected. Treasury yields dipping after inflation data roughly matches the expectations, but it's not good. We're 18-20% inflation that we're all dealing with. The Fed coming out and acknowledging that the average person is paying $800 a month for childcare, for having young children. And that has really dampened women in the workforce. 95% of men in the workforce, 69% of women, and they name childcare costs because they have risen exponentially amid Bidenomics. So as we await former President Donald J. Trump, as Rich Zeoli calls him, future President DJT. But you heard earlier Christine Flowers. Here he is. Here's Trump. Oh, it's not live? Sorry. I saw him come up. See how I'm going to take it immediately when it comes up. Thanks, Anthony. Out of the corner of my eye. Sometimes you guys will say, why is Dawn turning so much? Because I'm looking at the monitors. So that's why. So we will take it immediately. Just take it, Anthony, when he comes on. I was talking about the fact that the Trump campaign has raised a record amount of money, and that is since this verdict came down. It's incredible. $34.8 million in donations. TikTok, that is a number that is obviously ticking upward, as we had seen Biden and his fundraising efforts, as the Biden team had certainly, outnumbered Trump and Republicans in the fundraising. This is a game changer. As you see what's happening, you heard earlier, and that's what I was about to say, Christine Flowers saying, and I had never realized that she was thinking about voting for other Republicans and not voting for Trump. This changed her mind. Did it change your mind? Are you a conservative or an independent who felt, I don't like his tweets. I don't like his manner. I don't like that he curses at the rally. But you know what? I'm going to vote for other Republicans. Does this change your mind? And if so, why? And so this is something I saw yesterday. Many people galvanized by what happened yesterday because it's so over the top. And so to me, what I think it should be a lesson that when we look at Hunter Biden going on trial, technically it's local, be careful about going over the top. Hunter Biden, look, he's a married father of a young child. Looks like he was a crack addict. He talks about it, but he is off of that. And so he's a recovering addict. Do you want him to go to jail? I don't want him to go to jail. I don't want Joe Biden to go out of jail. I just want them to go away, meaning out of the public limelight and out of office for the president, which, by the way, I don't think he'll finish his term. I think that's why he was sort of heckling back to a reporter who was legitimately asking him that question. We played that audio for you when Biden was just here this week in Philadelphia. Reporter said to him, well, do you think you would even finish your term if reelected? And he was making fun of the reporter. So that's why he knows that he's not going to finish. They just want to keep the Dems, keep it as a placeholder, if you will. So, Guy Shiraki, as we think about this, just your reaction to what's happening with the economy, with the fundraising, record fundraising, $34.8 million in donations just flooding in to the Trump camp.
Yeah, well, on the economy, again, let's remember that the White House and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and everybody working for them have been telling us for 2 years that inflation is gone or under control. They've told us not to believe the bills we see at the grocery stores or what we pay at the gas pump or what our heating bills are, our electricity bills are. And every time they do that, the data comes out. And when truth be told, it comes out and it says, gee, you know what, folks, what you are seeing is really happening. Mm-hmm. So we should be mindful that trust ourselves, trust our bills, trust our credit card bills. The economy is not under control. It's not getting better. We're paying twice as much for gas, 3 times as much for groceries, 3.5 times as much to heat our homes. And Washington's answer is to tell us it doesn't really exist, that we don't know what we're talking about. And I think part of the reaction to the donations is obviously driven by what happened yesterday, but it's also driven by more and more the fact that this crowd in the White House has used the office of president and all around it to make themselves and their allies more powerful and to deceive us and to try and hold on to power. 2024 is about one thing, them holding on to power. That's why they forgive student loans. That's why they campaign where they campaign. It's why they tell us not to believe inflation. They have one mission, and that is hold power. It's why they've weaponized the Justice Department. That's why they took the man leading in the polls and are dragging him through the courts. Everything. So to me, it's all tied together. Inflation, bills, the justice system, they're trying to hold power.
Trump is right now walking up to the podium, and he is reaching into his jacket, pulling out some notes. Here is former President Donald J. Trump.
They can do this to anyone. These are bad people. These are, in many cases, I believe, sick people. When you look at our country, what's happening where millions and millions of people are flowing in from all parts of the world, not just South America, from Africa, from Asia, from the Middle East. And they're coming in from jails and prisons, and they're coming in from mental institutions and insane asylums. They're coming in from all over the world into our country. And we have a president and a group of fascists that don't want to do anything about it because they could right now, today. He could stop it. But he's not. They're destroying our country. Our country is in very bad shape. And they're very much against me saying these things. They want to raise your taxes by 4 times. They want to stop you from having cars with their ridiculous mandates that make it impossible for you to get a car or afford a car. But make it very possible for China to build all of our cars. It's a very serious problem that we have. We just went through one of many experiences where we had a conflicted judge, highly conflicted. There's never been a more conflicted judge. Now, I'm under a gag order, which nobody's ever been under. No presidential candidate's ever been under a gag order before. I'm under a gag order, nasty gag order, where I've had to pay thousands of dollars in penalties and fines and was threatened with jail. Think of it. I'm the leading candidate. I'm leading Biden by a lot, and I'm leading the Republicans to the point where that's over. So I'm the leading person for president, and I'm under a gag order by a man that can't put 2 sentences together, given by a court, and they are in total conjunction with the White House and the DOJ, just so you understand. This is all done by Biden and his people. And maybe his people more importantly. I don't know if Biden knows too much about it, because I don't know if he knows about anything. But he's nevertheless the president, so we have to use his name. And this is done by Washington, and nobody's ever seen anything like it. So we have a judge who's highly conflicted. You know what the confliction is. Nobody wants to write about it, and I'm not allowed to talk about it. If I do, he said, I get put in jail. So we'll play that game a little bit longer. We won't talk about it, but you're allowed to talk about it. I hope you do, because there's never been anybody so conflicted as this. As far as the trial itself, it was very unfair. We weren't allowed to use our election expert under any circumstances. You saw what happened to some of the witnesses that were on our side. They were literally crucified by this man who looks like an angel, but he's really a devil. He looks so nice and soft. People say, oh, he seems like such a nice man. No, unless you saw him in action. And you saw that with a certain witness that went through hell. And when we wanted to do things, he wouldn't let us do those things. But when the government wanted something, they got everything. They got everything they wanted. It was a rigged trial. We wanted a venue change where we could have a fair trial. We didn't get it. We wanted a judge change. We wanted a judge that wasn't conflicted. And obviously he didn't do that. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. We had a DA who was a failed DA. Crime is rampant in New York, violent crime. That's what he's really supposed to be looking at. Crime is rampant in New York. Yesterday in McDonald's, you had a man hitting him up with machetes, a machete. Whoever can imagine even a machete being wielded in a store, in a place where they're eating, and he's going rampant. And Bragg is down watching a trial on what they call crimes. They're falsifying business records. That sounds so bad. To me, it sounds very bad. You know, it's only a misdemeanor, but to me, it sounds so bad. When they say falsifying business, that's a bad thing for me. I've never had that before. I'm falsifying. You know what falsifying business records is? In the first degree. They say falsifying business records. Sounds so good, right? It means that legal expense. I paid a lawyer, totally legal. I paid a lawyer a legal expense. And a bookkeeper, without any knowledge from me, correctly marked it down in the books. A very professional woman, highly respected, she testified. Marked it down in the books as a legal expense. So a legal expense, paid a lawyer, is a legal expense in the books. It's not sheetrock, construction, or any other thing. It's a legal expense. Think of that. This is what the falsification of business records were. And I said, what else are you going to call it? What else are you going to call it? Now, I would have testified. I wanted to testify. The theory is you never testify, because as soon as you testify, anybody, if it were George Washington, don't testify, because they'll get you on something that you said slightly wrong, and then they sue you for perjury. But I didn't care about that. I wanted to. But the judge allowed them to go into everything that I was ever involved in, not this case, everything that I was ever involved in, which is a first. In other words, you could go into every single thing that I ever did. Was he a bad boy here? Was he a bad boy there? And my lawyer said, what do you need to go through? And all you wanted to do is testify simply on this case, because I would have loved to have testified. To this day, I would have liked to have testified. But you would have said something out of whack, like it was a beautiful sunny day and it was actually raining out. And I very much appreciate the big crowd of people outside. That's incredible what's happening. The level of support has been incredible. So the whole thing is legal expense was marked down as legal expense. Think of it. This is the crime that I committed, that I'm supposed to go to jail for 187 years for. When you have violent crime all over this city at levels that nobody's ever seen before, where you have businesses leaving, and businesses are leaving because of this, because heads of businesses say, man, we don't want to get involved with that. I could go through the books of any business person in this city, and I could find things that, in theory, I guess, let's indict him, let's destroy his life. But I'm out there, and I don't mind being out there, because I'm doing something for this country, and I'm doing something for our Constitution. It's very important, far beyond me. And this can't be allowed to happen to other presidents. It should never be allowed to happen in the future. But this is far beyond me. This is bigger than Trump. This is bigger than me. This is bigger than my presidency. And the people understand it, because I just see a poll just came out, the Daily Mail. That was the first one, came out, was done last night right after the verdict, where I'm up 6 points. 6 points from what we already were. We were leading fairly substantially. We're up 6 points in the Daily Mail poll. Now, maybe other polls come out and it says something differently, but a lot of people have predicted it, because the public understands, and they understand what's going on. This is a scam. There's a rigged trial. It shouldn't have been in that venue. We shouldn't have had that judge. He should have allowed us to have an election expert. We had the best expert, most respected expert, head of the Federal Elections Commission. He was all set to testify. He was waiting for 2 days. And when it was his turn, Bragg's people protested, and the judge knocked him out, said you can't testify. He actually said you can't testify for anything having to do with the trial. You can say what the federal elections is. Well, that doesn't help. Everybody knows that. But you can't testify. So essentially, he wasn't able to testify. Other people weren't able to testify. But with these people, they were able to use people salacious. By the way, and nothing ever happened. There was no anything. Nothing ever happened, and they know it. But they were as salacious as they could be, and it had nothing to do with the case, but it had to do with politics. And do you notice the timing? The timing was perfect. This case was dead. It was dropped by every agency, every governmental board. It was dropped by the highly respected Southern District. They said, no, there's no case here. It was dropped by federal election, and that's what it's about. This is about a federal election, not a state election. You're not even allowed to look at it. They took the state and the city, and they went into a federal election. They're not allowed. The people from federal election, Southern District, and Washington dropped the case. Everybody dropped the case. There was no case. Cy Vance dropped the case. And when Bragg came in, he said, this is the most ridiculous case I've ever seen. And who would have a certain person, again, gag order, who would have a certain person like this ever testify? He said, this is essentially one of the worst people I've ever seen ever to testify. He said, the craziest case I've ever seen. This is Bragg. Then when I announced I was running for president, long time later, they decided to revive this case. And they got a judge, Judge Marchand, who was responsible for another case that was also brought. It destroyed the life of a very good man, by the way. Destroyed the life of a very good man who went to prison once, and then they just put him in prison again because they said he lied. He didn't lie. I looked at the statements he made. In fact, he didn't remember something, and they put him in jail. Again, they've destroyed him. With me for many years, he was an honorable person. He was an honest man. And if you look at what he did, supposedly, it never happened. There's never been anything like this. Over the education of his grandchildren. Over, he didn't report that he had a car or 2 cars on his income. I don't know. I wonder how many people here have cars. I wonder how many people said, oh, gee, I have a car that's worth X dollars. How do you even figure it? And I guess you do have to report it, but I would say probably almost nobody does. Nobody even thinks about it. They put this man, they destroyed this man, but they put him in jail again because they didn't want him to testify. They didn't want him to testify. That's why he went to jail. They put him in jail twice. He's 77 years old. Now, normally I'd say that's an old guy, but I don't feel 77. Nobody ever says that about me. I'd like them to say, gee, we have to have a little sorrow for this man, because they just don't say that about me, but maybe I'm better off that way. I think I'm probably better off that way. But they put him in jail twice. And you have to see what they put him in jail. And he was threatened by the judge. This man was told, you're going to get 15 years in jail if you don't give up Trump. And he was told that.
Alan Weisselberg.
You're going to get 15 years in jail. And he made a plea deal because he didn't want to spend the rest of his life. And he was told that viciously. We're living in a fascist state. He was told that viciously. So you can go to jail for 4 months, 5 months, or you can get 15 years in jail. So do a plea. Almost who wouldn't do that plea? Everyone does those pleas. It's a horrible thing. There's a whole group of lawyers that fight that. It's so unfair. It's so unfair. But they destroyed his life. So many other things. You look at Southern District didn't want to bring the case. Nobody wanted to bring the case. And then you know who didn't want to bring the case? Most of all is Bragg. Bragg didn't want to bring it. But then he brought it. And they tried to make it a different case. They didn't say legal expense equal legal expense. Again, if I wrote down and paid a lawyer, and by the way, this was a highly qualified lawyer. Now, I'm not allowed to use his name because of the gag order. But, you know, he's a sleazebag. Everybody knows that. Took me a while to find out. But he was effective. He did work. But he wasn't a fixer. He was a lawyer. You know, they like to use the word fixer. He wasn't a fixer. He was a lawyer. At the time, he was a fully accredited lawyer. Now, he got into trouble not because of me. He got into trouble because he made outside deals, and he had something to do with taxi cabs and medallions, and he borrowed money. And that's why he went. And then he pled to three election violations. And as soon as I saw that, I said, I wonder why he did that. He pled. He took a deal. Now, he took a deal because he wanted to get off. In other words, I'll take a plea deal and I want to get off. And he wanted to make a deal with the Southern District. And they wrote the worst report I think I've ever seen on any human being, other than the report that was written on James Comey by the Inspector General, a very great Inspector General, actually, wrote a report that was so bad. This one was possibly worse. The Southern District, the judge didn't let us use it. He said, it's hearsay. I said, it's not hearsay. Wouldn't let us use it. This is about the man. But he got in trouble for a very simple reason, because he was involved with borrowing a lot of money, and he did something with the banks. I don't know if it's defrauded the banks, but something happened. You guys know what it is. And then in addition to that, he gave up on 3 things where he wasn't guilty. In fact, they were going to testify in that. The head of the FEC, the Brad Smith, the election expert, #1 rated in the country, was going to testify.
Former FEC commissioner.
He took a plea on 3 things. He just added them in because that gave him more bargaining power with respect to me. But the 3 things that he pled on having to do with the election and having to do essentially a little bit with me, they weren't crimes. They weren't crimes. Nor is paying money under an NDA. So we have an NDA, non-disclosure agreement. It's a big deal, a non-disclosure agreement. Totally honorable, totally good, totally accepted. Everybody has them. Every company has non-disclosure agreements. But the press called it slush fund and all sorts of other things. Hush money, hush money. It's not hush money. It's called a non-disclosure agreement. And most of the people in this room have a non-disclosure agreement with their company. It's a disgrace. So it's not hush money. It's a non-disclosure agreement, totally legal, totally common. Everyone has it. And what happened is he signed a non-disclosure agreement with this person, I guess other people, but it's totally honest. You're allowed to make the payment. You don't have to make it. You can make it any way you want. It's a non-disclosure agreement. And he signed that. And there was nothing wrong with signing it. And this should have been a non-case. And everybody said it was a non-case, including Bragg. Bragg said, until I ran for office. And then they saw the polls. I was leading the Republicans. I was leading the Democrats. I was leading everybody. And all of a sudden, they brought it back. It's a very sad thing that's happening in our country. And it's a thing that I'm honored. In a way, I'm honored. It's not that it's pleasant. It's very bad for family. It's very bad for friends and businesses. But I'm honored to be involved in it because somebody has to do it. And I might as well keep going and be the one.
You can't.
But I'm very honored to be involved because we're fighting for our Constitution. The money that was paid legally. There was nothing illegal. In fact, the lawyer in creating the NDA, because at that time he was a fully accredited lawyer. He wasn't a fixer. I never thought of him as a fixer. The media called him a fixer, or the prosecutors called him a fixer. He was a lawyer.
Okay, while he's talking about Michael Cohen, we'll take a quick break and be right back.
Listen to Joe Yakovich on The Heart of Your Money, Sunday mornings at 9 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Learn about investing, tax strategies, and more. Joe Yakovich on The Heart of Your Money, Sunday mornings at 9.
This is Dr. Marianne Ritchie. Tune in to Your Radio Doctor every Saturday afternoon at 5 here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT for the latest healthcare news and information, because your health is your wealth. That's Your Radio Doctor, Saturdays at 5.
If you're drowning in IRS debt and can't afford to pay, then you need to take advantage of special IRS tax programs that are available and free yourself from IRS collection efforts once and for all. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing throughout the country, the Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone, but call the Community Tax Helpline at 800-254-4574. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back, or even if you have years of unfiled tax returns, there's no need to fear anymore. But you have to call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-254-4574 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-254-4574 for your free consultation and to see if you qualify. That's 800-254-4574.
Weather sponsored by Morgan & Morgan.
The forecast remains pleasant heading into the weekend. Plenty of sunshine today with low humidity. High temperature near average at 78. Cool night tonight, mostly clear with a low 58, colder out in the suburbs. And for Saturday, warmer but still not humid. Plenty of sun with a high 84.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Last year, more clients hired Morgan & Morgan than ever before. We now have more offices, more staff, and more lawyers than any other injury firm in the world. Protecting America, fighting for you.
Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-700-6800. 800-700-6898. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-700-6898. That's 800-700-6898. For $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
Right now might be the best time ever to upgrade your old, inefficient water heater to a state-of-the-art Bradford White Aerotherm heat pump water heater. It's eco-friendly, Energy Star certified for high efficiency, and will help lower your energy bills. Rebates and tax credits are now available that could save you thousands of dollars. How you heat your water matters. So ask your plumbing professional about the Bradford White Aerotherm heat pump water heater, or visit bradfordwhite.com to learn more.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online at hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation to determine the ED medication that's best for you, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and a range of treatment options, including trusted generic alternatives to the name brands, at up to 95% off. ED is personal, and at Hims, so is treating it. Just go to hims.com/joy and get connected to a licensed medical provider online for free, with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
Contact Tax Relief Helpers for details and restrictions.
Attention, anyone that owes money to the IRS. The IRS has restarted aggressive enforcement actions against taxpayers who owe back taxes that were temporarily suspended for COVID. If you owe $10,000 or more, you must hear this because now is the time to clear your IRS tax debt. A special toll-free number has been established so you can stop penalty fees, avoid liens, levies, or other hostile measures by the IRS. Call Tax Relief Helpers right now at 800-721-4643. Tax Relief Helpers will provide you the maximum protection afforded by law.
I got behind on my taxes and owed $48,000. I didn't know what to do. I called and they got my bill lowered to just $3,500.
I owed $87,000 in taxes and it was scary. I got the amount I owed down to just $3,500. I saved $83,500.
If you owe money to the IRS, don't wait another day. Call 800-721-4643 right now before the IRS enforces liens, levies, or other aggressive measures. The call and consult are absolutely free. Call now. Call 800-721-4643. 800-721-4643. 800-721-4643.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-700-6898. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-700-6898. That's 800-700-6898. For $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
Calling on Blackwood to follow 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
Had great support from the Republican Party, though. Then you had impeachment hoax number 2. And then they formed the committee. How about they formed the committee of thugs, the J6 committee of thugs. And they took their records and they destroyed all of the records after the committee was abandoned because those records were great for us. Now, can you imagine if Republicans did that? Everybody would have been in jail by now. Think of it, the unselect, I call it the unselect, they call it select committee, I call it the unselect committee of thugs. They meet It's 100% Democrat and 2 past Republicans that are no longer Republicans, that are no longer in business anymore, thank you. But it was all Democrats and 2 wayward Republicans. Liz Cheney and crying Adam Kinzinger. He cries every time he goes on television. He's the most emotional human being I think I've ever seen.
Live and local, Trump Live.
And that was our representatives. These 2 people were our rep. So they had all this stuff that they're leaking. And then when it came time to look at the records, like where the police said and the Capitol Guard said that I supplied, think of it, that I recommended as many soldiers or National Guard as you want. 10,000. If you had 500, you wouldn't have had a problem. There wouldn't have been a J6. But Nancy Pelosi and the group didn't want it. Anyway, so they have testimony to all of that I did not attack the Secret Service agent in the front of a car. You know, these are strong people. And I supposedly went to the driver, and I grabbed him around the neck. And he rebuffed me, and then I went to the other guy, who I think is a black belt in karate, and he's slightly younger than me, maybe 35 years, 40 years, 50 years. And I grabbed him around the neck and said, he's a black belt in karate. They know how to get somebody from around their neck. They would have gone like this, and that would be the end of that. Actually, I had a friend that said, you shouldn't dispute that. That makes you look like the toughest cookie we've ever seen. You should have let that go on. But the fact is, it never happened. It was all made up. And that was proven to be made up. It proved to be a false story. And they deleted and destroyed all of that information, every ounce of it. We're dealing with a corrupt government. We have a corrupt country. Our elections are corrupt. Our borders are open. Our borders are going to be closed very soon. November 5th is going to be the most important day in the history of our country. Now, when I say that, because my people are always saying, do this, because we're fighting for America, DonaldJTrump.com. I hope everybody watching right now, DonaldJTrump.com, because it really makes a difference. They have a lot of money on the other side. I don't know where they get it. Nobody knows where they get it. But for some reason, they get money. But they're not on the side of our country. In many ways, I think they hate our country. Who on earth can want open borders where people are allowed to pour in from countries unknown, from places unknown, from languages that we haven't even heard of? We have people sitting in schools with languages where very few people have ever even heard of these languages. It's not like Spanish or French or Russian. Languages unknown. We have people coming from corners of the globe, and many of them are not good people. Many terrorists, record levels of terrorism, record levels of terrorists have come into our country. Record. They've never seen anything like it. You know, there was a report that in 2019, I don't believe this, by the way, the media gave it, and it was good for me, believe it or not. They said in 2019, there were no terrorists recorded that came into our country. I don't believe that. I don't think that's possible. But 2019 was a Trump year. I don't believe that that could be possible. But they said no terrorists came into our country. So let's say it was close. Let's say it was close. But now record levels of terrorists, record levels, the highest level we've ever seen of terrorists are pouring into our country. You have China with just in the last few months, 29,000 people came in, and I looked at them on a line, and they look like perfect soldiers. They're almost all male, from 19 to 25. It looks like a recruiting exercise. They have beautiful tents. They have propane stoves. They have cell phones, the best you can buy. I said, what's going on? It looks like they're building an army right in our country. Now, I don't think that would happen, right? We're losing our country. And I really think that this is an event, what took place yesterday with this judge. Look, we have conflicted, but he's a crooked judge, and you'll understand that. And I say that knowing that it's very dangerous for me to say that, and I don't mind. because I'm willing to do whatever I have to do to save our country and to save our Constitution. I don't mind.
Donald J. Trump speaking out live, I should say.
Thank you. So we will continue the fight. We're going to make America great again. Very simple. When people fight MAGA, they say, we're going to fight. I watch Biden. We're going to fight MAGA. We're going to stop MAGA. It's make America great again. That's all it is. MAGA. Make America great again. Our country's in serious trouble. We owe $36 trillion. We were energy independent for the first time ever. And now we're begging Venezuela for oil. One statistic you have to hear. Venezuela was crime-ridden. Caracas, the cities, crime-ridden. 2 years ago, 3 years ago. They just reported a 72% drop in crime in the last year.
They all came here.
Because all of their criminals, most of them, and the rest are coming in now. The ones that didn't come in. In Venezuela, their prisons have been emptied into the United States. Their criminals and drug dealers have been taken out of the cities and brought into the United States. And that's true with many other countries. The Congo has just released a lot of people from jail. Congo, Africa, just released a lot of people from their prisons and jails and brought them into the United States of America. This is what's happening to our country. And it's not sustainable by anyone. Little things like our kids can't have a Little League game anymore because you have tents and you have migrants living on the fields. That's the least of it. People are taking over our luxury hotels, migrants, and yet our veterans, our great veterans, are living on the streets like dogs. They're living on the streets. But migrants are living in luxury hotels and cities all over our country run by Democrats. So it's my honor to be doing this. It really is. It's a very unpleasant thing, to be honest. But it's a great, great honor. We're going to do what I have to do. I'm going to do it. And the support has been, that's why I mentioned the number of $39 million. That's why I mentioned we're up 6 points. And we went up a lot over the last month because everybody saw it was a rigged deal. It was a rigged trial. But we're going to make America great again. We're going to make it better than ever before. November 5th, remember, November 5th is the most important day in the history of our country. Thank you very much, everyone.
So former President Donald J. Trump speaking out loud, as I said, out loud, out live, speaking out, thanking all of the supporters, immense support, and raising, and that's an updated number, $39 million raised for the Republicans, GOP, for Trump. And that's just since last evening, about 4:30 p.m. Wow. November 5th, the most important day for our nation, and says it's bigger than me. It's bigger than Trump. It's actually for America and restoring justice and order and following the Constitution. I thought the two notable moments, first of all, I thought that with Trump, he was, as usual, off the cuff. You may have expected some formal speech. No, nothing's memorized. He is riffing. And that's why, in part, when we took the commercial break, I promise you didn't miss a thing. He repeated some of the points that he had made earlier. I thought it was interesting that he brought up the fact, because he loves his fast food and his McDonald's, and how it was horrible that a machete man had threatened people inside a McDonald's just yesterday in New York City. Also, he was talking about his former CFO, Alan Weisselberg, 77-year-old grandfather, sentenced again to 5 months in jail. That happened last month. And Weisselberg had cut a deal as they had gone after him. And he's saying, in part, it was to silence him. If he had taken the stand, then he would have risked unraveling the deal that he had, as they had said that they caught him as he was talking about some properties, the value of them, were they overvalued, that sort of thing. And so Weisselberg had taken that deal so that he could just get this over with. So whether or not you agree or disagree, certainly it was chilling because Weisselberg then risked a lot if he took the stand in defense again of Trump. Guy Shiraki, your thoughts and your reaction in real time as Trump speaks live and really riffs from the podium about everything that's going on, but he skirted around a lot of issues. He is cognizant of the gag order and doesn't want to face Judge Merchan and violate that gag order.
So I was struck by a few things. First is it is clear that his energy level is as high as ever. And, I always just think of that in contrast. This election is a choice. There's a binary choice. And I would ask everybody to pause for a second. Whether you liked what you heard, whether you believe what you heard, is Joe Biden physically, mentally capable to do what we just saw? To stand at a podium for 20 minutes and show passion, to stand at a podium for 20 minutes and talk extemporaneously, to talk from his heart? I don't think so. So that's come clear. The second is that this President Trump, is resilient. He will fight back. There is no quit. It's one of the reasons people were drawn to him in 2015 and 2016 is we wanted somebody to fix the mess in Washington, and you wanted somebody that was tireless, that could fight and know that no matter how much resistance they would fight on. You saw that fight. And the third thing is this. He's at his best when he reminds everybody that this is about a bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
It is not just about his case. It's about an abuse of government and an abuse of power, and it's something that he fought against. Remember, this is someone who worked as president, and he did two things when it comes to justice we should all be mindful of. One is, upon taking office, he said, of course we're not going to prosecute Hillary Clinton. We have to take care of the business of this country. And the second was he worked in a bipartisan way on criminal justice reform so that people could get a fresh start to take care of their families. This man embodies all that, and when he reminds us of who he is and what makes him run, he is at his strongest and most effective, and we saw part of that today. We saw the energy, we saw the focus, and we saw him understanding this is bigger than him. I thought he did well after the day he went through, that we can only imagine what it was like. He is resilient and fighting on.
Amen. Guy Shiraki. So we'll take a quick break. This is The Dawn Show. Thank you so much, Guy Shiraki, for your eloquence and your thoughts and your insights. Quick break right here on The Dawn Show, 855-839-1210. Be right back.